2026 to order. All members are present. Stand for the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Delegations, we don't have any. Okay. Recognition, and it says none. School improvement updates, presentation of PCHS spatial circumstances review and spatial education and benchmark data. Yes, please.
We will not be doing the benchmark data, but I did want to do So tonight I wanted to take this opportunity to speak to the community and update the community and the board on several critical matters. The status of our special circumstance review at Pocahontas County High School, the 2025 LEA compliance special ed monitoring report, and the current state of emergency for Pocahontas County Schools. On July 1, 2025, I officially began my role as superintendent of Pocahontas County Schools. However, my work with the district began approximately 1 month prior as I participated in weekly status meetings and updates related to Pocahontas County High School and Pocahontas County Schools. These meetings were facilitated by Deirdre Klein, our WVDE support specialist. It quickly became clear through those discussions that the county was facing a significant crisis and that the challenges at the high school were not isolated, but rather symptomatic of broader systemic issues within the district. This evening's presentation is intended to provide the board members and the public with an overview of the key areas of focus for each of these circumstances and to outline how identified non-compliance indicators have been addressed over the last 7 months. Before we delve into the good, the bad, and the difficult realities surrounding our state of emergency, I would like to begin with the following quote. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. A powerful quote attributed to Confucius highlights the true character of success as it defines the resilience and the ability to recover from setbacks as a community and as a school system. Failure is not a permanent state, but an opportunity for us to grow and learn. I'm providing you this update tonight because on February 11th, I will go back before the West Virginia Board of Education and the West Virginia Department of Education to discuss our progress and how we are moving forward. And they will again vote on our status as a school system. So I think it's important before I go and speak to the State Board of Education, I provide our local Board of Education with an overview of the things that we've accomplished and where we go moving forward. So I have on our slide here today, Stronger Together.
It's LEA, special.
Local Education Agency. It's another word for Board of Education.
Okay.
Stronger Together, when you enter an organization that's in a crisis, you have to figure out how you pull together as a team. And that's what we needed to do to overcome the circumstances. We had to pull together as a team. So Stronger Together has been our theme since day one. So the first thing I did when I came to the school system and I started working with the central office staff, and they'll remember this, and I really use this at every single professional development I have done from the beginning of the year. And I think Mr. McNabb was there for a couple of those, and Mr. Grimes. And I talked about random acts of improvement. It wasn't that we weren't doing anything good. It's that we weren't all pulling together. So we had arrows going in different directions, some of them up, some of them down, some of them east, some of them west. So when you're looking at organizational leadership, you have to figure out a way to get everyone moving in the right direction. So improvement acts are a coordinated approach with a play-by-play plan, clearly defined roles and responsibilities. So I chose another quote by Henry Ford. You can tell I'm a history major, right? Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. And we have experienced a lot of success working together. So I want to give a little bit of background because I think a lot of people don't understand when the state of emergency started. So the West Virginia Department of Education conducted a special circumstance review of Pocahontas County High School beginning October 22nd, 2024. At the request of the county superintendent. The review examined compliance with state law policies, evaluated student, school, and county performance, and verified report data through interviews, documented reviews, classroom observations, and transcript analysis. So what that means is they interviewed all the teachers, probably interviewed the board members at some point in time, prepared a report on all the circumstances of what they were told and what they observed. So Pocahontas County High School was out of compliance in 5 areas: the comprehensive school counseling program, grade, transcribing, and scheduling, leadership, positive and safe environment, and special education. And I am proud to say that we have addressed each of those very thoroughly. So I'm just going to read the top part, which is the non-compliance and the corrective action that the West Virginia Department of Education recommended. And under the liaison at that time, which would have been Deirdre Klein, those things were worked, a list of those things were completed and put into place. So compliance number 1 is an annual comprehensive school counseling plan. Has not been developed or coordinated and implemented a counseling program designed to address student needs. The most recent counseling plan at that point in time was from 22-23, and it was in violation of West Virginia Board Policy 2315. Next thing was at the beginning of the review, a process to develop student PEPs was not in place. PEPs are an essential component of developing a student-driven master schedule. Those 2 things were what we were out of compliance. So we didn't have a plan of how we were going to address student needs, and the plan for students on how they will graduate as they progress through high school was not in place for students. So I think it's really important down here at the bottom. Interviews revealed that advisement, including helping students explore available services, set educational and career goals, select programs and study, and make course choices, has largely been handled by homeroom teachers. So we're going all the way back to 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25, and now we're in the current school year. At that point in time, the homeroom teachers, not the counselor, was developing the PEP plans, according to this report. So corrective action was to develop a data-driven professional counseling standards plan. So data from the students, data from what the needs were the school were, they were to develop a plan. So our plan this year, our counseling plan addresses attendance because we had 48% of our students chronically absent. We have an emotional and social support specialist there in Lois Wilfong for our CIS that is primarily overseeing that part of the plan and the attendance initiatives. School leadership will create a yearly review of the PEP plans. And in order to do a yearly review of the PEP plans, you are to have parents come in and meet with you to do the PEP plans. That's what we did with our students. We went in and sat down and said, my student wants to take this, but I think they should take that. We talked about it, worked it out. So parent input at the fundamental level is at the school level. And that's where they meet with the counselor or whoever is working with the PEP plan. So parent input and transparency starts at the school level. So the next thing that we had, and we had a tremendous amount in this area, is grading, transcribing, and scheduling. And one of the first things I did to address that was I reorganized the county office and I put an ACE, one of the best technology people I've ever seen, Miss Christy Hammonds, in charge of WEVAS. And she is so excited about this role and responsibility. So one staff member had been tasked with transcribing grades and inputting the master schedule into WEVAS. The team that came in determined the school principal, central office staff lacked the experience and the expertise to effectively oversee these processes. And I think if you remember, the kids came to school and they were there without a schedule for a couple of weeks. Interviews confirmed the school's master schedule and individual student schedules were not prepared before the start of the school year. School staff indicated central office staff instructed them to stop working on the schedule at the end of the 23-24 school year. Teachers and administrators created the school schedule after students reported at the start of school. So the schedule wasn't even worked on until the students reported to school. Review of WEVAS data revealed inconsistencies in course codes and the naming of courses, creating potential issues with college admission, scholarship applications, and collegiate athletic eligibility. What that means is legitimate courses in WEVAS, you get a course code that makes that course legal. And what was on their report card did not match. They didn't match first semester, second semester. There was variations of transcribing that had occurred. And I actually looked over some of those transcripts when I got here personally. Teachers did not articulate a consistent process for making changes to grades once they had been transcribed. The absence of a clear and consistent process has created a potential for teachers to be influenced to change transcribed grades. So what that means is there was no process, and it was in violation of actually a policy. Law and policy says that you can only change a student's grade if there's a calculation error. There's no other reason for changing a student's grade. It's illegal otherwise. And a parent can't influence you to change a student's grade if there's not a calculation error. Interview comments and evidence provided indicates that teachers may have changed transcribed grades based on pressure from parents and not because of a grading error. That's in violation of West Virginia Code 18-5-46. Staff expressed the school's approach to credit recovery has been insufficient to meet the students' needs. Staff members share credit recovery concerns, including conflicting guidance, lack of communication, inaccurate or incomplete records, and poor instructional quality. So points of non-compliance under that area. Evidence indicates a student was transcribed inaccurately, transferred credits. Interview comments and documentation suggest this may have been intentionally and not as a result of a grading error. So grades were being changed, not because of an error, but because of influence. Student PEP plans were not completed, and student schedules were not prepared in advance for the 24-25 school year. The school principal could not release transcripts for prior graduates due to lack of access to the system. No school policy existed for grade changes, and one staff member informally made grade changes in the past based upon informal verbal or email requests by administrators. So that'd be like just walking by and say, hey, Mr. McNabb, can you change Ollie's grade from a C to a B? And there's no evidence that that happened, and the conflict of information there. So leadership was the next area that we had to focus on. Central office supports for the principals have been inadequate to meet the needs of the beginning school leader and to ensure overall success for the school. During interviews, a culture of shared ownership for student success was not evident. Many interview response indicated that school had been without a cohesive vision, a lack of a mission. Staff members and leaders expressed the need for high-quality professional learning in areas of WEVA, scheduling, transcripts, policy and procedure development, and leadership capacity. The team discovered that district leaders did not visit schools on a regular basis. Several staff members shared concerns about retaliation and hostility from the central office. In the absence of a comprehensive scheduling procedure, there was no master schedule ready prior to the first day of school. Point of non-compliance. Evidence including failure to provide appropriate mentor. At that point in time, there wasn't a mentor, according to this report, for the high school principal. The team determined a lack of clear and focused learning mission. A comprehensive system of monitoring and support does not exist between the district staff and the school leadership. And this actually is validated in our federal programs because we haven't given feedback on our strategic plans, so we had to work on that. And evidence from interview response indicate a lack of communication between central office leaders, school administrators, and school personnel. Area 4 was a positive and safe school environment. And I think this is one that concerns me the most. I was kind of surprised when I went to Pocahontas County High School and I learned that students had the door access code. Like everybody had the door access code. So if you're between classes, you just punched it in. I mean, that's a true breach of security and safety. The team observed safe and appropriate student behavior and positive interactions between the staff. During the first on-site visit, which occurred October 22nd, 2024, the principal relayed she did not have access to review the cameras for special education. The school crisis prevention and response plan was submitted on time. However, the Department of Homeland Security reviewed it, and it was returned August 13, 2024 for revisions. As of October 22nd, 2024, the required corrections to the plan had not been submitted. During interviews, the team learned that the school secretary's computer was accessible by others during the day because her password was saved, accessing all the student transcript grades and all the attendance data. Points of non-compliance. School disciplinary protocol is not consistent school-wide and may not provide appropriate interventions for support and positive, safe school environment. School access and security measures are insufficient, which I just told you one of those that was insufficient. Hallways were not clear. Students didn't go to class. Bathrooms were vandalized. There was a whole plethora of things that was about safety. The school crisis prevention and response plan has not yet been revised, and student information was potentially accessible to unauthorized personnel based on unsecure access to the secretary's computer. And then the catalyst for what led to the rest of the county's intervention. So Pocahontas County High School and special ed at Pocahontas County High School was ground zero for the county. So when we are looking at IEPs, 5 IEPs were reviewed for service verification, 0 verified. So that means pulled 5 IEPs, looked at service. Those services will not be able to be verified in those IEPs. IEPs are not reviewed within 365 days. You have to do that. So they were not, those that were pulled. Parents and students are not being informed of the student's 17th birthday and the transfer of educational rights. That wasn't being done. At the time of the review, the principal did not have access to self-contained videos. Again, back to the special education cameras. At the time of the review, the school did not have a student assistance team process established to support success. And there are no procedures to ensure special education services are in place for transferred students. So what happened after this review? What did you go through? When did it start? How did we address that? So I'm going to pull up a Pocahontas County categorized and prioritized list that was completed by Deirdre Klein, our West Virginia Department of Education support liaison. And I want to just highlight a few areas because there has been substantial work done at Pocahontas County High School. Even from the beginning of the year, when I started as superintendent to now, it is a completely different learning and cultural environment. So the first thing that she started working on March 20th was testing and communication. Then she started looking at-risk students, academic contract expectations for students that were D and F. You have to pull those and notify parents. She also started looking at senior credit recovery contract meetings. Then she moves on to the LSIC agenda process because the LSIC wasn't functioning appropriately at the high school. She goes on to working on the cameras and starting that process and making sure the crisis plan was in place. Review, drill, correction, submit to the Department of Homeland Security, March the 28th. With our new school safety officer, we still have some lockdown procedures that haven't been practiced at the high school. We're going to have our very first safe schools training with I Love You Guys on February the 16th. And I would like to invite all of our board members to attend that. It will be countywide, bus drivers, cooks, secretaries, teachers, principals, so that if we have a situation, we are ready to lock down and we are all on the same page. Again, back to that theme of being stronger together and building capacity.
What's the date on that?
February the 16th.
High school.
At the high school, in the auditorium, just like at the beginning of the year. 9:00. The central office will communicate consistently with school leadership. She started working on those communication forums. Principals will have access to the teacher evaluation system. Principals will have access to the communication platform. If we move on down to student services, they started immediately with reviewing senior transcripts. They thoroughly checked, revised, and made revisions approved. Have a paper trail in place for how we look at transcripts for our students now. That is now an artifact that we have and something that will last a long period of time. Looked at beautification of grounds and did central office walkthroughs. Now we're starting this round 2 of priorities. When we get to school culture, July 3rd, I've been on the job for 2 days. Now we're talking about me. Talking about myself and Miss Klein and how we work together to transition me into my position so that I knew what was going on so that we continued the same great work and there wasn't a conflict. We were working together, stronger together. So on July 3rd, we walked through every single school in the county. We identified areas of needs of improvement with the principal. And some of the needs of improvement that were already underway at Pocahontas County High School was the office area and the bathrooms. The other area that we had to address was we had a special education self-contained classroom that did not have the appropriate bathroom facilities and was not located in the best of places. It wasn't in the mainstream of students, so we had to move those. Those were get this done before school started under the state's guidance. And the central office was also here. And here's what's going on with the central office while we had to redo the central office. Confidentiality was an issue. When Dr. Combs is talking on the phone about a personnel issue, she should have some privacy. When Mr. Anderson is talking about a special ed issue, he needs privacy. When Ollie is talking about as the coordinator of personnel, what you need to do for your certification, she needs privacy. When I'm in my office, meeting with an angry parent, which I have done, I need some privacy. So we have to respect the confidentiality, not just of the workers in the office, but of the people that come in to work with us in the office. Final grade disposition, monitoring transcripts. We started that paper trail, grade change process, PEP process and timelines, bell schedule ready before May 2nd. Semester test schedule was created, transcribing grades, credit recording, permanent record process. All those paper trails have been put into place. Special education schedule blended within the master schedule. If we go down here, club rotation schedule, again, a transcript request process, beautification of interior building classrooms ready before the first day staff arrives the 25-26 school year, maintenance projections. So I want to be clear that our maintenance staff, they were stressed out, but they pulled it together. We painted, I think, 5 classrooms at Pocahontas County High School. We painted the gym. We redid the gym. I mean, it was work 24/7, and I'm eternally grateful for all of the support that I received from our facility staff, our maintenance staff, and our custodial staff that we advertised for. New exterior number system was put into place, syllabus creation for all of our courses, special education process for IEPs and 504s. I believe I came to the board, we had an assistant principal that was an athletic director, and I came back to the board and I said, hey, we need some help. We need an assistant principal that oversees IEP compliance. That has made all the world of difference separating those two positions out. I think Mr. Anderson will concur with that. Attendance incentives and celebrations. So while our attendance hasn't improved at the high school as much as it has at other schools, we've gone from 48 to 32, which is an astronomical improvement for that school.
48 to 32?
Mm-hmm. New camera systems put in place. We now have all of our cameras on the same dashboard so that we can look at them, we can see them. I mean, we have moved up in the world and according to technology, and I feel like we're right on the right path. We have anything else in this one? Christy, I don't think nothing else is highlighted. Now I'm going to pull up the central office list. So this was the central office to-do list. Like I said, I started setting in on the central office meetings, and I will say my first meeting with the central office staff was pretty ominous. There was not a lot of smiles in the room, and I was so excited to be superintendent. And now they're all smiling, but there was not a lot of smiles in the room. So I think we've had a cultural shift, and we're a team here. We got each other's back. We're out in the school. It's changed. The atmosphere of this board office has changed. So we developed a mission. It's on our actual agenda. We have our core beliefs and our goals. We work with the board on that. We have letterhead that you got to vote on and you got to pick. That makes us kind of a very official. We have an employee handbook. We have established a county safety meeting, and we have processes in place moving forward. You get the gist of it. We've done a lot at the central office. We have transformed the way we work together, our climate, how we feel about coming to work. And that has translated into how we feel about going to our schools and serving our schools. I have been at the school no less than probably 9 times a month. I take Julie sometimes. I take Philip sometimes. I take Rhonda sometimes. Sarah, Ollie. We all get up and we go to our schools because we believe in them and we're here to support them. You want to pull the presentation back up?
What was it? Absentee drop?
From
48?
48 to 32, I believe, was the last report, Julie. Okay. 35. So 48 to 35.
Great.
So I want to stop right here for the board. That's Pocahontas County High School. That's where everything started. And that's where we had our greatest need. Are there any questions about the state of emergency or that part of the presentation before I move on to the next series of things that's occurred?
Get any check marks for doing anything right at that time? Talk about everything wrong. Are we doing anything at all?
In that report, which I have included in your agenda, there wasn't a great amount of praise. And the reason there wasn't a great amount of praise is because we had a culture and a climate issue, a protocol and procedures. But I will say, there's great things going on now.
Yeah.
We're not defined by where we were. We're defined by where we are and how we move forward. So there's great things going on in our schools. So, I'm superintendent for, I don't know, I think it was July 5th. I called President Grimes and I said, President Grimes, we're in a bad situation. I've heard this rumor about a report and we're under state intervention. We're in a state of emergency and, we need to get a plan together. And President Grimes, as he always does, he said, well, okay, let's talk about it and see what we can do. And I said, I'm going to contact the State Department through our West Virginia liaison, and I'm going to go down and ask them, because I'm a new superintendent, to give us time to fix what's not right. So on July 11th, President Grimes, myself, the West Virginia Department of Education liaison, Deirdre Klein, Assistant Superintendent Jeff Kelly, Executive Director of Accountability, Alexander Kreiner, and Executive Director of Special Education, Sheila Patzel, we went to debrief our 2025 LEA Compliance Monitoring Report for Special Education. It was not good. It was not good at all. And I did not want to acknowledge it wasn't good sitting there. I put on a very brave face, but I knew there was a lot of work ahead of us and that we had to buckle down. So on August the 13th, I was invited back to the West Virginia Department of Education to present a plan for how we would address our issues moving forward. And at the risk of sounding a flip, President Grimes did tease me the whole way about being on TV. And I was pretty nervous when I went there. But they gave us 6 months to correct our problems. At first, we had to have all of our non-compliance indicators corrected by October 3rd. I emailed them. I asked them if we could have till December 3rd. And December 3rd, by that time, we had, I think right before November, we had all of our stuff indicators uploaded, Mr. Anderson. So they gave us 6 months. I like my things dead. Just click one. So I want to start off with what happened on July 1 and where we were in the central office, because I think it's important to see what the situation was and the work that's gone into it. So we had a new chief school business officer. I had no special education director, so I had to be the special education director. No personnel and technology director, so I had to assume the role of personnel and technology director. No accounts payable, so the new chief school business officer had to do her new job and her old job. PCHS school schedule was not completed. Students had not received their schedules at the end of the year. And board members were pretty tough on me. They asked me when those schedules were going out on a regular basis. So I was really stressed out about getting those schedules out. 2 grade levels of transcripts still had to be checked and reviewed. It was our lower grades. They weren't our crisis grades. Attendance was not being handled properly. I went to Ms. Klein, our support specialist, and I said, can you take this off of my plate? Can you get something in place at Pocahontas County High School where we are taking attendance every morning in every classroom? And she worked on that process. Diplomas had not been handed out after graduation. So diplomas, I actually sat here in the office with directors and the principal and mailed out the diplomas after I had already taken my job. Report cards had not been mailed. Gym project was not being managed. I think Mr. McNabb looked at me at the very first meeting and said, what do you know about the gym? And I'm like, it's my first day. I don't know anything about the gym. Talk about some pressure. But I did get on that. I had something at the next meeting. Facilities projects, PCHS, office remodeling and bathroom remodeling had not been completed. So I made that a priority on July 3rd. And I want to give Director Gibson a shout out because that was a holiday. And when I said, will you work on a holiday for me? He said, why not? And we spent a whole day walking through schools. And it was a good day. It was a good day of bonding. Special education self-contained room was non-compliant. We had to find a new place for that. Talk about a hard task being a new superintendent in a school system and asking a teacher to move out of their classroom. That's a big deal. Teachers are attached to classrooms, so that was a real big deal. We had no athletic trainer. Sports was getting ready to start, and being new to a county, I know that football has to start on time. So there's a lot of searching, a lot of begging, and we found an excellent athletic trainer to help us out. Mr. Grimes helped me with some names in the community. State job application platform was not being used appropriately. So random people from all over the state would just send me an email. Hey, I want to apply for this job. I'm like, apply in Frontline. So I'm just doing what I naturally know the right process to be, apply in Frontline. And it's kind of upsetting the apple cart because people are just used to sending an email. And Miss Barkley's in my office. Did you get an email? Did you get it? And I'm like, what? Why are you asking these questions? She said, that's the way we do it around here. And I said, girl, we're going to do it a different way around here. They have to apply online the appropriate platform. Notifications that there was a special ed monitoring that may lead to county intervention. So this is all within the first 5 days on the job. These are all the things that were put on my plate within the first 5 days of the job. Again, I go back to this. I went home and I told my husband, I said, I am a school improvement specialist. I have done this. We can do this. If we can get our arrows going in the right direction, if we can get an aligned system, we can overcome this. But the first thing I have to do is let the people of this county know how happy I am to be here and that I'll love them, I'll support them, and we will move through this together. So the first act was building a culture of inclusiveness, a climate of value. And I didn't start at teachers. I started with bus drivers, cooks, custodians, board members. We set the house on fire with Larry Bell. He bonded us, and in that moment, we remembered who we were and why we were educators. And I think it gave us the momentum to move forward. So I brought all the teachers in on August the 21st. And I really believe this, and my husband can tell you I'm pretty forgetful sometimes. So I'm like, I'm not doing this in small pockets. Everybody gets to hear the same information at the same time. And I think Mr. McNabb was there that day. So the West Virginia Department of Education, our support consultant, we reviewed what we had to work on. If everybody doesn't know, you can't be a team. So I'm going to kind of go over those. I want to go over some vocabulary first. For the 24-25 school year, 17 LEAs were monitored as part of the cyclical monitoring during that school year. So that an LEA, 17 other districts were monitored. 3 service verifications were completed at each elementary, middle, and high school visited by an on-site team, totaling 9 service verifications per district. That's part of the monitoring process. Last year, 155 random individual student files were reviewed for service verification in the state of West Virginia. So that's what services are they going to get. So 2 words that we need to know and 2 colors we need to know as we move through this presentation. If you see it in the black color, it's compliant. It means you did a good job. It was right. If you see it in the red color, not a good job. It's a problem. So those are 2 things, compliant and non-compliant. So when I say non-compliant, we weren't doing it correctly. So statewide non-compliance for 2024 was 44%. So 68 of the 155 IEPs pulled, 44% were non-compliant in the state of West Virginia. 56% were compliant, so that's 87. So obviously the top number is your lowest value and your bottom number is your greatest value. So how many out of those are you getting? So 5 schools were monitored in Pocahontas County Schools during April 2025, a special circumstance review. 18 verifications were completed in April. 4 at Green Bank, Hillsborough, and Marlington for a total of 12. 3 at Marlington Middle and 3 at Pocahontas County High School. Non-compliant for PC for Pocahontas County Schools was 89%. 89% of our IEPs that were reviewed were non-compliant. So that means that 11% were compliant. So only 2 students were getting the services that they should have been getting. So general file review for the whole entire system. So now we're looking at the whole entire system. What was going on? What do we have to fix? What did they tell President Grimes and I we needed to work on when we were down there? The school year 24-25. So this is a general file checklist. So when they pull an IEP, they have a general file checklist and they check it for these indicators to see if you're compliant. And I just put that in there so you can see what it looks like. So data analysis for each LEA, the WVDE calculated a % of compliance based on the data collected. Compliance metrics includes adherence to the monitoring manual, which is what I just showed you. That's the monitoring manual. The average compliance rate was determined by taking the compliance percentage from the LEA and calculating the mean. So you can just see here the files and how they were used the second month report for how many they were going to pull. And second month report is what sets our enrollment. So what is a systemic finding? All items scores below 80%. So anything below 80% is a finding systemically in your organization. Methods for addressing systemic findings. Things I had to do, I had to ensure were done. That's me in our school system here. We had to amend our IEPs. We had to reconvene eligibility committee meetings or the IEP meetings. We had to issue memorandums and/or clarifications. We had to conduct staff trainings, and we had to provide monitoring services. So in supplementary services, we were at 40%. It was a systemic finding. So when we look at these, up at the top, you'll see the indicator, and it says initial placement parent consent. And the number out beside that says how compliant we were. How good did we do on this? 0 files pulled were compliant. 0. So we had no wet signatures, and that means you signed in person on any of the IEPs that were pulled. We did not have the parent consent. ESY services, 0. 0 of the files pulled were compliant in our system. Prior written notice, which is the 8-day notice that says, hey, parents, we're going to have a meeting in 8 days. We were only 33.33%. Evaluation procedures, only 33.33% of the IEPs pulled were compliant. Placement extension with participation with non-exceptional students, and that's where we call integration into our classrooms. We were only 40% compliant. So we didn't explain it, and we weren't doing exactly what we said we were going to do. Annual goals, specially designed instruction for student performance, only 46% compliant. Specially designed annual goals, specially designed instruction for student performance. So I wanted to give you an example because that's kind of jargon. Like you don't know what that means, specially designed instruction. So what does that mean? So if you have a student that has a reading comprehension problem, this would be something you would do for that student. Given graphic organizers and guided practice, the student will identify the main idea and 2 supporting details in grade level nonfiction text with 80% accuracy. So we're using a graphic organizer. We're helping them extrapolate information from the text, make meaning of it so they understand what they're reading, is basically what that says. Math problem solving. With the use of manipulatives and step-by-step modeling, the students will solve multi-step word problems involving addition and subtraction. So we're going to use cubes. We're going to use something that's very concrete. We're going to teach them how to add and subtract with that in multi-step problems, a very tactile thing that some students are. And then behavior regulation. Using a visual schedule and self-monitoring checklist, the student will transition between classroom activities with no more than one prompt 4 out of 5 times daily. As a principal, I had this going on in my elementary school. I had about 290 kids in my elementary school, and we had to prompt them. Some of them did not know how to move from one activity to the other without throwing a fit, for example, pushing all their stuff in the floor. So we were training them how to be part of a group and how to interact with the group and learn. So that's what that is talking about. So supplementary services, we were 46% compliant. So supplementary services are not identified appropriately within the PLEP. So I want to say what a PLEP is, because that's a hard word. It has a special meaning. So your present level of performance. Where are you in your performance? Where do we want you to go? That's what that's talking about. Present levels, impact statements. We didn't have these in our plans. We didn't have, why are we doing this? What does this mean? Or they didn't align. So we had to really look at that in our plans. Only 66% compliant. Special education services identified, 73% compliance. Annual goals, observable, measurable, actionable actions for student performance, 73% compliant. So if you notice so far, we've not met the benchmark to be in the black. We're still in the red. So I think I'll put that one in there twice. So here's our score. We were, of all the indicators for the general FAL review, we were not compliant in any of those indicators. Now, we got better in some of those, but we weren't compliant in any of them. This is the state, so you can compare the state. The state's out of compliant on some of theirs. Some of the ones where we had 0, they had 60. They had some down here, like their 8-day notice, which is the prior written notice, they had 82% compliant. We had 0% compliant. I'll put that one in there twice too. I don't know what's going on. So administrative findings. A formal determination that policy, regulation, and law or standard has not been followed. Administrative findings could be issued for an individual student, individual school, or for the entire LEA. We had them for the entire LEA. It was systemic, it was system-wide, and then we had some that were just for the schools. So these are our administrative findings: instructional groupings, certification and caseload, and the specially designed instruction is under AF8. Classroom management was under there. Leadership, monitoring the schools, the school safety plan, crisis plans, FBAs, behavior intervention plans. And then we were out of compliance with our cameras after 3 warnings. I think we were on our 3rd warnings for the cameras. So what do we need to do? We need to develop and implement functional behavior assessments and behavior intervention plans. We weren't doing it. People said they didn't know how to do it, said they weren't doing it. They didn't know who told them to do it. Then the report said we trained you on how to do it, and you still say you don't know how to do it. Basically, is what happened there. Administrative findings, school-wide concerns, grade level instruction. Students are not receiving instruction aligned with the West Virginia College and Career standards that were on grade level. So hypothetically, you're at the high school, you're in 11th grade, you're on a program that has standards for 4th or 5th grade. That was one of our findings. General educators, teachers reported that their input is often overlooked during IEP meetings. Least restrictive environments, special education students are being grouped together with special education teachers during intervention periods, which is a conflict of LEA, the least restrictive environments. And then for students with disabilities, the preventative discipline program must include a tiered system of support and positive behavior interventions, PBIS. So again, we're going through the findings. An example of the finding is if a finding relates to staff training, a corrective action must be included. And this is where I came in, because we had a plethora of findings that related to training, that our staff needed training to know how to do things. So our first batch of corrections were due December 3rd, 2025. All the corrections has to be in place by July 12th, 2026, and we will be getting another on-site review. So this will be fast. Superintendent actions taken July 1. July 1, first day, new job, new agenda format, new seating arrangement. I moved right over there with the board members, my people. Proposed realignment of the central office staff. We had to have defined roles and responsibilities. We created a website, a web page for each of the central office staff that has their stuff on it and what they do. And I think it's alleviated some stress. I think Miss Dunlap had a lot of jobs. July 3rd, we did a walkthrough of all the schools. July 29th, special board meeting. We had to train the board on protocols, procedures, and how we operate. That was Dr. Paul, Jason Long, and Deirdre Khan. July 2025, Board of Education with options of official letterhead. I presented that, hired Lydia Young. August 2025, release dates for midterms and report cards, so that was consistent countywide. Principals Academy, we had that from August 11th to August 13th. Included FERPA training to address those data issues. And a debrief to special education monitoring. We had a Teachers Academy, August 19th through the 21st. August 19th, we provide data training to the Pocahontas County Board of Education. New staff training on August the 25th. Special education teacher training on September the 2nd. August the 26th, principals debrief for the special education monitoring to take back to the school. August 28th, all staff training on relationships and understanding with Larry Bell. August 29th, principals were to debrief that information with their staff. That's August and July. September and October. September, we realigned the counseling service to move Missy Hill to PCHS 2 days a week and Dana Cutlip to PCHS 1 day a week and 2 days at Green Bank Elementary Middle School. So the myth that there's not a counselor at those schools and they're not receiving counselor students and we are not compliant with the law is completely untrue. I proposed this plan to the West Virginia Board of Education on August 13th. Those things have been done and those ladies are doing a great job. Posted through the SESC for a special education consultant and a special education compliance expert. Using special education funds is how we're paying for those. Those are funds that are allotted for those activities. September 16th, presented updated job descriptions, which was part of our theme. Our finding that we had to update our teacher job descriptions to include caseloads and update our special education job description. I presented those to the board and you approved those before I posted those positions. September 26th, special meeting for finance report and budget overview for the renovations of the board office. And I think Dr. Hollingsworth said, Dr. Williams, do everything in the schools first and then do the board office. And that's exactly what we have done. Remember that? Then we established written protocols for curricular, extracurricular trips, fundraising, and lesson plans so that we can monitor those processes better. Special Education PLC, where they worked on 2419 and did a 2419 study. October 7th, presented board with the IEP file review checklist that we started reviewing with each of our schools. And we hired Miss Ruth Bland. She went around and used the IEP checklist and Mr. Anderson, and we started gradually working through all of our plans to make sure they were compliant. October 17th, we launched a volunteer training for our principals because they didn't have a formal volunteer training. Moving on to November and December. November the 3rd, we had the CTE PLC where we looked at all of our student data. We talked about bubble kids. We talked about relationships. We talked about reaching out to that kid that just needs that one person that doesn't have them at home to change their life, to change their score, to get them on the right track. November 4th, we had the federal programs monitoring. We had the pre-K monitoring. November 6th and 7th, we had a 3-hour early out on co-teaching training and specially designed instruction for all schools, all staff. November 14th, I visited all schools and checked with all principals to make sure they understand what we had been trained on. November 17th, I took a Strive conference to Lewisburg, and that included our new director of special education, Philip Anderson, Principal Jordan from Green Bank Elementary Middle, Laurel Dilly, math at PCHS, Crystal Lewis, teacher at special ed at Marlton Middle School, and Jeanette Wagner, our assistant principal at the high school. November the 18th, we had behavior and intervention plan and BIP training. November 19th, we had CHAMPS training for classroom management, procedures and protocols. November 11th through the 17th, we had a financial audit and completed a financial investigation at PCHS. December 22nd, 2025, we had a special meeting at the Pocahontas County Board of Education and debriefed that financial audit, providing transparency to the public. On January 26th, all principals were trained by Miss Hammonds, that's trainer, on grade transcribing, and we have that process open. That's a lot. And all that has been done. Every compliance indicator has. Now, are we perfect? Absolutely not. Are we on the right track? Absolutely. Do we have capacity and knowledge? Sure we do. And we're going to keep building and keep growing and keep getting better. So I wanted to give you a time for questions, and I want to tell you that my husband was driving me over Kennison Mountain, and I'm like, stop the car, stop the car. And this was absolutely one of the most beautiful scenes that I have ever seen. So Pocahontas County, right there. Any questions, comments, concerns from the Board of Education for me?
What do you think? What's your feeling of it? Are they gonna need more work, or you think they're gonna release us, or what's your feeling?
I am hopefully optimistic that we have submitted everything and that they'll say you're on the right track. We think you have the capacity. The board's moving in the right direction, but nothing is done until the board votes on it. So tune in, and hopefully on February 11th, the county will get good news. The Board of Education will get good news, and we will continue to grow and expand as a team.
The state board has to vote on it.
That's correct. And we are on the agenda.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'd like to say thank you getting the special ed straightened out, because I mean, we heard, I'm sure all of us heard from special ed teachers constantly what a mess it was. We were told it was perfect and they were disgruntled.
Well,
And I haven't heard anything, and all this training, all this stuff that the special ed teachers have went through, I haven't heard nobody complain about it.
I would like to say that I feel like we at Pocahontas County staff have made me proud. I'm their new superintendent, but I could not be prouder of the staff in this county and the work that they have done. And I could not be prouder of Mr. Anderson for stepping up and being my special education director, and Heather Simmons being our special education secretary part-time. We are doing great things. Do you want to say anything, Mr. Anderson?
Right here in our own county group plan, coming together to help do that, so it's work in progress. And
It's good work. It's valuable work because we're doing something great for our kids.
I'd like to make one comment. Like I said, when you first started, you had those seminars up at the high school, and I attended those.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many of our staff come up to me and told me, they said, we'll do whatever you all want. Nobody's ever told us what to do. They never had any direction. They had no guidance. And I think since you come on board, you've given that, and I think they trust you and they believe in you. I know we do.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
And I trust them. I believe in them because if I have been told once, I've been told 1,000 times. We support you. We're here to pull together. We need help. Thank you for helping us. Thank you for the professional development. So it has been a good work. It's been a work of the heart.
It's a job well done.
Thank you.
You've done a really good job, but you know, the teachers have pulled together.
They
They've
have,
done their part.
Yep.
Custodians, the maintenance crew, it's took us all. It's took a community pulling together to get this, to this point.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us realized how bad things were whenever you come in. I mean, really, we wasn't told,
Told everything was good.
but we knew we was hunting for a special individual whenever we was looking for a new superintendent. And I think hopefully we was smart enough that we knew when we found one, because you fit the bill and
Thank
you've
you.
really brought everything to life. And now we expect this from now on, that's the way it goes. Cause I think you work better under stress.
I know. I was talking to President Grimes the other day and he said, "Ah, get to work, go do your job." I'm like, okay, let me get on now.
But
Thank
you've
you.
done a great job and we thank you as a board for it.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see some numbers. Now, this sounds, we've done a lot. Can we get some numbers on these projects and things?
Actually, I talked to Mr. Anderson and I said, can you give me a rough number? We have 167 IEPs in the county. A number of how many of those are in compliance or how many of them are in the red? Or do we have any glaring concerns, Mr. Anderson?
I know whenever I took this job, October, didn't really get into it until November. There were over 20 IEPs in the red that were not compliant with the hospital. And today we have 0 in the red.
Great.
I think that's good work right there.
That'll be good on the 11th.
It will be.
They'll be glad about it.
And I think that I want to be clear, our IEPs were out of compliance, some of them, not just because of what was up here, but because we were serving our students 4 days a week instead of 5. If you remember, I shared that data. And that's when we found that we were having our highest absentee rate. So we have seen our absentee rate improve. And I believe that is evident of us serving our students 5 days a week.
You really worked hard.
Yes.
Thank you. You've worked hard as a board. The county has worked hard. I mean, they were the nicest people when I put them out on those 3-hour delays to do trainings. They were good trainings and I think they went really well. So thank you.
We'll see what's said on the 11th. We will be there.
Yes.
That state board meeting is also virtually, so you can, anybody that wants to go watch it can.
We can see it there.
You can see it. It starts at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
On the 11th. I think it begins at 9. So anybody in Pocahontas County who wants to see that can go into the website and watch that.
Maybe Ollie could pull the link down and send it on that day.
It's.
It is.
If you go to the Pocahontas County Board of Education page, there's a link on there for the State Board of Education.
Okay. All right, moving on. Consent agenda, approval of the agenda. Approval of the agenda minutes for January 6, 2026 and a special meeting for January 9, 2026. Payment of bills, subject to additions, deletions, or other changes prior to the board meeting. Payment of vendor listing, $90,978.43. Payment of the P card, $19,459.36. January the 2026 payroll, employee payroll, $274,750. So we got an error right there. I don't know what it is, $751.48. That's what I'm gonna say. Sarah, you can look at it to see. It's got 7514.48.
274,751.48.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Many pools.
Too many fours. An extra 4 was added there. Extra duty pay for January 2026, 11,552.03. Budget adjustments, budget transfers and supplements, and subject to additions, deletions, or other changes prior to the board meeting. Do I have a motion?
They move.
Combs made the motion and Dr. Hollingsworth seconded it. Any questions?
We need to pull the
Extra duty.
Extra duty. Okay. All right. Anything else? You got any additions or anything you want to pull from the agenda?
On superintendent's updates, B8, athletic updates, I'm gonna pull that.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We are going to pull out D, extra duty pay for January the 2026 for 11,552.03 and vote on it separate. We will be voting on everything else. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries, and now we will be voting on item D, and let the record show that Mr. McCombs has recused himself from this vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. He can come back now. Personnel matters. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Mr. McMahon made the motion
Second.
and Dr. Hollingsworth seconded. Any questions on this one? Did you want executive session?
Yeah, I'd like to have an executive session before we vote on all of the
Is this on a personnel matter, right?
personnel, yes.
Dr. Hollingsworth has made a motion for an executive session on a personnel matter. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McNabb has seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries.
I'll
And
second.
Mr. McNabb seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We come back out at 7:32. Okay. Ollie, do you want to read the personnel?
Okay. Personnel agenda for February 3rd, 2026. Professional Tessa Gum requested transfer from teacher of special education at Greenback Elementary Middle School to teacher of fourth grade at Greenback Elementary Middle School, effective for the 26-27 school year. Darlene Arbogast requested transfer from teacher of special education at Pocahontas County High School to CTE teacher of business management at Pocahontas County High School, effective for the remainder of the 25-26 school year only. Of the following is substitute teachers for Pocahontas County High Schools at state basic professional salary for the 25-26 school year as needed: Paul Murphy, Emily Sharp, and Brittany Barons. Service recommendations is Terry S. Sharp for the custodian 3 at Pocahontas County High School, effective February the 4th, 2026, for 102 days for the remainder of the 25-26 school year, and shall be 220 days each year thereafter. Angela Taylor has requested to be removed from the substitute aid list effective January the 22nd, 2026. We have 21st century grant position, contingent upon adequate number of students for the program. An additional teacher at Greenbank Elementary Middle School, Susan Ray. 21st century media consultant and technician would be Christy Hammonds. Paul Hill as the baseball coach for Pocahontas County High School, effective for 25-26 athletic year. James D. Sharp as assistant basketball coach for the Pocahontas County High School, effective for the 25-26 athletic year. Aaron Pugh requested for parental leave effective March the 10th, 2026 through April the 30th, 2026.
Thank you, Ollie.
So distracting.
What did we do with that? And what did we decide?
Okay, we're going to pull out Darlene Arbogast, and we're going to vote on all the rest of it. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Okay. Darlene Arbogast requested transfer from teacher of special education at Pocahontas County High School to CTE teacher of business management at Pocahontas County High School, effective for the remainder of the 25-26 school year. Do I have a motion on her to transfer her? We need a motion. Okay, Morgan has made a motion, and do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Gibson seconded. We are going to vote to leave her where she's at. The transfer has been denied. All those in favor of the transfer being denied signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay.
Just to go back,
Yes.
I think when you first read that, you said vote to transfer.
Okay.
You're.
I was just reading what was on
Okay,
here.
okay.
I was reading what was on here, but the transfer has been denied on a vote of the Board of Education 5-0 vote.
Okay.
So she stays as special education teacher at Pocahontas County High School.
I think that's where the greatest need is.
Yeah, that, and we believe that's where the need is at. It's there because we're shorthanded on special education teachers. Okay. Gotta look where I'm at on the agenda because I don't know. I've done old business. A discussion regarding special circumstances review at PCHS. Do I have a motion?
And they,
Skip these.
Did I skip one?
Number C.
Oh, superintendent updates?
Yes.
Okay, so, and I don't need a motion for that, but you can just go ahead with that.
So
Athletic guidance.
athletic guidance, I have been getting a great deal of questions about when we add dollar coaches, when we don't add dollar coaches. Can we have $5 coaches? How many dollar coaches is allowable? So I reached out to Chris Wells at the WVSSAC, and he worked in Ritchie County. And I asked him, I said, well, what did you do? How did you handle this when you worked in Ritchie County? So he had given me what his ratio was. So the ratio set forth herein is the guidance I'm giving are intended to guide rather than fix staffing mandates and may be adjusted as appropriate. As a general policy, athletic programs shall not assign a number of supplemental dollar coaches that exceeds the number of paid coaching positions. So if you have one coach that's paid, you can have one supplemental coach. To be equitable in that, you shouldn't have one paid coach and 4 supplemental coaches. So our policy, most of our policy says superintendent will give guidelines, regulations. So that's the first one. And then I did some research. Actually spent a whole day doing this research, looking at all national data. I gave you.
I got it.
So for low risk sports, track and field, cross country, golf, tennis, I looked up what the recommended ratio is. It's 1 coach for 15 to 20 students. The head coach is responsible for ensuring that assistant coaches are appropriately assigned to supervising athletics when they are dispersed across the large area or at multiple events. You shouldn't see all the students here, all the coaches here. They should be assigned to tasks that they're going to do with specialized coaching for the various teams. Moderate risk teams, which are basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, volleyball. The recommended ratio is 1 coach for 10 to 15 students. Again, the head coach is responsible for assigning the students appropriately during the drills, making sure that equipment is taken care of. For high risk, high contact sports such as football, wrestling, and lacrosse, it is recommended that they have 1 coach for 5 to 10 students. Multiple coaches are required for contact drills, live play, and scrimmages. 1 coach should not be responsible for supervising a large group of students during the high contact activities. The head coach is responsible for ensuring that assistant coaches are appropriately assigned. I mean, I understand that in football, even though I'm not a football scholar, I know that you have offensive coaches, defensive coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, and from watching high school football, they get back off the line, coach. And if there is additional staffing and there is specialized skill for any of these sports that they are bringing to it and they have a specialized skill, then that would be a reason to request a dollar coach. I took the WVSSAC safety expectation policy and I'm aligning this to guidance. I set it up, the framework up to the WVSSAC. They do not advocate for it. They're not saying this is perfect, but they said that this looked like good guidance. And that will be our guidance moving forward for coaching, and it will be placed on the superintendent's webpage. Then the next thing I have on here, lots of discussion about this in the county. Lots of questions about it, and I did not have any guidance because I didn't know what your calendar was. But we've missed 2 days of school that we have to make up. And I wanted to discuss it today. I'll put it on the next agenda. So our out of school environment days are March the 30th, March 31st, April 1, April 2, April 3, and June 15th. So you can take those in any order backwards or forward. For example, you could say, we want to start with our makeup on June 15th. That'll be our first makeup day. Then the next makeup day will be April the 3rd, then April the 2nd, and then April the 1st. Or you could say we want to start with March the 30th, go to March the 31st, and then skip down and go to June the 15th and still have 3 days of break. Any combination of making up those days is appropriate as decided by the board. And whatever you decide or you would like to do, I will put on the next agenda for your approval. I just need some guidance on how.
Well, I think the kids would rather get out earlier than.
What do we have? Like,
It's just from
what
Friday
do
to
we have? How many, like,
Huh?
It's just from
professional
Friday.
learning days?
Yeah, it is.
Can we use professional learning days for,
We cannot. These 6 days are the days we can use for making up.
can't use faculty senate, any of that kind of thing?
I actually pulled the guidance right before I got here and read it. So those are the days.
Can't use professional, cannot use, that's off limits.
Can we check with the staff and see what they would like to do?
Okay, do you want me to put out 3 or 4 scenarios and whichever one gets the most votes will?
But Christie, make sure they can only vote.
Yeah, make sure they can only vote one time.
Well, Dr. Combs will be the one doing the survey, but she'll certainly collaborate with Christie.
Yeah, because last year when we picked this calendar, we had people voted 100 times.
Yeah,
And I think,
say that other counties use the same method we used last year. Oh, we have different. This year, but.
Good.
It's good news, other counties do.
Well, I'm sure they do, but you know, our teachers are sometimes a little bit smarter than other people in other counties, so they know how to manipulate the system.
When does the new calendar go out on public comment?
well, the new calendar, Dr. Combs sent the committee, you wanna say something about that?
So I'm just now putting the committee together, based on recommendation from the principal. They can have one professional, one service personnel in the building. We're gonna tentatively meet in 2 weeks and start the process and
So it's, what, about the 1st of March or something?
I think by mid-March,
Mm.
early March.
But I think that's the best way to handle that. How about you all? I mean, if we just let the staff, because it's not gonna matter to us as board members.
just where they can't vote 100 times.
So
Yeah.
how about this, because that can get a little cumbersome. Each school could put a vote for what they would like to do, and then we'll put those 5 things out there and they can vote.
There you go.
And whichever school gets the most vote wins
There you go.
Sounds absolutely great.
Together, we can work this out. We're strong.
together.
Yeah. Strong
That was pretty
together.
good.
But I think it's up
You'll
to,
be surprised when all 5 schools will want the same thing.
there you go.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That'd be hard to do, wouldn't it? Okay,
Don't give up hope.
is that
No old business.
no old business?
Nope, I already did that.
So we don't have to worry about that one. I don't even have to make a motion. New business. Approval of fundraiser, approval of out of county, out of state and overnight field trips. C, it's discussion, review and possible action, Energy Express contract cost for Board of Education, $11,839.11 plus $1,090 for Energy Express mentors to have breakfast and lunch, $1,090 for cost of $12,929.11. Discussion and request to post $1 coach for baseball, $1 coach for softball, and 2 $1 coaches for track. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Dr. Hollingsworth made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Mr. McNabb seconded. Any questions on any of these? I will say this, the fundraisers are going to be closely monitored.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Miss Bland will be overseeing those in the entire process. She's the one that emailed them to us, and I feel confident that she will take care of that situation.
Can I ask those treasurer?
Yes, absolutely, treasure.
You will watch over this?
Yes, sir.
I should say, will you? I'm sorry if I. Will you? Because, you know, in the county right now, we're getting a lot of friction. So we need to be very careful about fundraisers out there. Okay? Thank you, Sarah. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Board members' remarks. Mr. McCombs.
I'd like, once again, Dr. Williams for getting this 10, 12 years of mess straightened out. He's been amazing in 6 months.
Dr. Hollingsworth.
I agree with Mr. McComb. It's been a long time getting here. And wonderful work to get it this far along in this shorter period of time. And I hope we're going to get it all cleaned up and keep it that way.
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Happy about going back to school this week. Do we have any issues at the buildings? Where everything was cool during that time?
Everything was good.
No, it's good. It's always good. You know, I think I want to stay on track with keeping up with our money. I'd like to have some accountability on some of these things we talked about tonight. And I can get with you. I'll get with you on what I want. Yes, ma'am. I'd like to send a big note out to our staff. You guys Ms. Holmes and Sarah and all, you all done good work, and, I appreciate you. And, that's all I have. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm really happy about the high school's, absentee rate coming down significantly. That's pretty good. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a lot of work there. And that's all I have.
Mr. McNabb.
Same thing as everybody else. I just want to thank Dr. Williams and her staff and all of our employees, because all the work that in the presentation tonight, it didn't just happen by chance.
That's right.
It happened with leadership, guidance, and everybody's buying and everybody working towards the goal to fix it. Because I'll be honest with you, whenever I first got into this position, and it was actually the first night that it was brought about the transcripts and all this stuff, and I was embarrassed and ashamed. I mean, but now I think we're headed in the right direction. We've got the right, correct people making the right decisions. And we'll just keep on going, and thank you for everything you've done. All of you.
Dr. Holmesworth.
I wish, Miss Jordan, our sympathies. I know it'll be a tough week for her. So, we never let her know that the board's behind her.
Jamie bragged too.
Yeah, Jamie. Yeah, I forgot about,
Yes.
I forgot about Jamie. That's true. You've done a great job. Not hardly a day goes by, sometime during the day, that we don't have a conversation. But over the time, if you look back from the last 6 months, them conversations have got better.
Yes.
They've got better as we've come along. And I'm happy with the progress we've made. And I asked any of you that wants to pray for us whenever we go down there.
Yeah.
Because we're going to need all the help we can get.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, the board office, whenever we went for the review, they all said, we're going to pray for you while you're going. And it turned out to be a great meeting. So I'm going to ask that. And I'd also like to say happy birthday, Sarah.
Sarah.
And we will not sing, which will be
No.
whole.
Okay, our next board meeting will be February 17th, 2026 at the Pocahontas County Board of Education Conference Room, beginning at 6 o'clock. We are hereby.